Hello, welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. My guest today is Christa Matheson from Boston, Massachusetts. Christa, thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for having me, Bridget.
And I got to tell you, I am thrilled about what we're going to discuss because one of the techniques and one of the approaches to your job, your life, your business that you've embraced is do less to achieve more.
And do it better.
And do it better.
And do it better.
Yes. And actually, I just want to hand the baton to you. Can you restate, share with everyone what we're talking about?
It's the idea of focusing on what really works in your business. We know there's a million ways to do it. There's a million ways to grow your database and be successful and attract more clients. The real question is, what works for you? We spend a lot of time looking around at what our counterparts are doing, wondering, is that going to be the secret shiny object that gets me to the next level? And the truth is, if we went more small scale and looked at what really works in our business and just became absolute certified killers
Yes.
at that, mastered those few things instead of trying to embrace every idea under the sun, and there's a million of them,
Yes.
that we actually will have better results. I had a client a few years ago. We embraced this idea. She really had great intentions and was just running herself ragged. And we know in this market, we're working harder to achieve the same results as we have achieved in years past. Opportunity is just harder to find now. So we're all putting in more work. And she had great intentions, but she was really drowning in these good intentions. She was doing all the things, the mailers, the cold callings, the door knocking, the social media on 5 platforms and networking events 3 times a week. And she felt like she was on a hamster wheel. And it's exhausting, as you can imagine.
Right.
So we looked at her numbers and realized that 80% of her business, I'm a big fan of the Pareto principle.
Me
What
too.
is the 20% of activity that's going to give you the 80% of results? And 80% of her business was really coming from 2 places: her past clients and her sphere and her neighborhood farm. So we put the brakes on everything else she was doing and we cut it. No more chasing every trend, no more random marketing experiments, no more someone in my office is doing, I want to try.
Right.
No more, hey coach, I just spent $1,000 on this neat shiny object. She doubled down on the monthly touch points to her top 100 people and became the go-to agent within her farm. Within 12 months, her business had doubled.
That's great.
And she was working. It was amazing to watch. And she was working less.
Yes.
She was working less. And another struggle in doing all the things isn't just about doing all the things. It's about, how is your life outside of your business when you're doing all the things? So really, I've become a firm believer and coach that says, let's focus on what works for you. Let's not pay attention to what your friend, your neighbor, your partner, your market center is doing. Let's really focus on what works in your business and double down and decide, if we're not executing those strategies, what is possible within those strategies. If we're not executing at an 8, 9, or a 10, let's go turn up the volume under those activities and figure out, how can we create mastery within those few activities and see how we drive results then. And the results spoke for themselves.
It's really remarkable when you simplify down and hone in, as you said. It's that principle also of go where you're strong and make it stronger. So if you see where you're getting results and say, okay, how do we get more results from this area? Because you already have built in efficiency, scalability, results, like it's all there. And can we have 3 of those and eliminate the distractions and the time required for the rest
And the money, the
and the money?
investment in,
Yes. Yeah.
right? Right now, we're looking at budgeting with a very keen eyeball and saying, what is really delivering the best return on investment? And it's counterintuitive to do less to get more. And it wasn't an easy sell in the beginning when I said to her, well, hey, let's really master these things and pour more into these things. She was really nervous about giving up some of those activities, even though she loved the freedom it created in her calendar.
Well,
So I'm not
yes,
suggesting it's easy. I'm not
it's not
suggesting it's
easy.
easy.
It's not. And this really applies predominantly to anyone who's in sales. There are elements of this that, in my opinion, also would work in leadership and management. So we can
For
talk
sure.
about that. But just staying for a moment, if you're selling anything or you're in a sales position, it can be really hard because I don't know about you, Krista, but some people, they hang on to something that used to work that doesn't work now. And they're like, but it worked before. I can't. They're scared, actually. They're scared to let go of it because
Yes.
they keep thinking tomorrow is the day where it's going to act like it did in
It's
2019.
going to yield a different result. And
Yes,
doing the same activity over and over again and expecting a different result is the absolute definition of insanity.
correct.
And it was hard. And when she did start to see the results, she started to buy into it. And she really was much more willing to let go of a lot of the other places that were, she saw she was investing a lot of time on her calendar. And when she had that time back and she was able to focus on her family and really pull that counterbalance back into alignment, she was all in. Coach, how can we make this better? I don't want to do
Right.
more. I just want to make this the best it can possibly be. And she became known for being amazing at those few things. Certified ninja killer.
So I want to ask one other element of this that I think we both have encountered. One of us has encountered firsthand. So sometimes when any workers, when they are in the habit of doing more and it's got to be all this and just go, go, go. And yes, I do work 60 hours a week and maybe even more, but I don't tell people so they don't worry about me. When people caught in that, sometimes when they all of a sudden have the free time, they rebel against it because it's not the current habit and they don't know what to do with it.
It feels weird.
And they'll slip back into doing more work. How do you address that when you're working with someone on this? If they suffer from it being such a habit that they can't let go, and when they do, they kind of, it reminds me of, in Pulp Fiction, John Travolta, looking around, so they kind of like get home at a reasonable hour and they just look around like John
They
Travolta, like,
don't know what to
what's
do with
happening? Yes.
themselves. Yeah, they don't know
How
what
do
to
you
do with
address
themselves.
that?
Well, we talk about setting the expectation that it is going to feel a little strange to not have that inner push to just keep on keeping on and to go, 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 go. So in advance of stopping the activity, we actually talk about it and we talk through a little bit of how is it going to feel and what could you do in that space instead of, and I'm not suggesting fill in every white space on your calendar, but what have you really not focused on that you love that you could now enjoy in that space when you did leave work at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock on a Thursday? What is something that you have not taken part in, or what's something you'd like to do? Fill it with something that fills your soul with joy.
Right.
One of my favorite questions for my clients is, where's the joy on your calendar this week?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really good. It's something that I've worked with myself and that I also work with clients. And you're exactly right. One man in particular comes to mind from South Carolina, and he would allow the work to fill the time allotted, right? So he would just stay late, keep working on stuff, not income producing, not priority, not urgent, but he got in that habit. And so I challenged him of staying, yes, and then leaving. And I also think he had a little bit of pride in being one of the last to leave. So we really nailed down on that. And we decided each day of the week what he was going to do when he got home at 5 o'clock.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we got really specific, because clarity is power, right? So we got very specific that Tuesday nights he was going to pull up a recipe. He was going to get home before his wife, and he was going to make a beautiful dinner and actually set the table and use real plates and do all this stuff, which is totally not his jam, but he loves it. Now he plans and he shops and he gets the stuff, and his wife loves it. Of course, she's like, what
Sure.
happened, right? But you do be aware. I guess my point is I want anyone listening to this prepared for that. You will have let's say you're in a habit of working every Saturday morning for 3 hours, while other people are waking up. If you challenge yourself to not do that on a Saturday morning, you're still going to wake up at the same time and you are going to be like, what am I doing?
What do I do with myself? Yeah,
That's right. So prepare.
absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, the task at hand will expand to fit the time allowed.
Yes.
So if you're not using a time block schedule and you're not deciding on the rhythm of your workflow, my day ends at 6 p.m. And this client actually had to set an alarm in her phone to say, "Up,
Yes.
time to go home.
Mine
Time
did
to go
as
home.
well.
Alarm goes up, time to go home." And that's it. And I love the idea of really being clear and specific on which day are you going to engage in which fun, soul-filling, joy-bringing,
Yes.
relationship-building,
Right.
family-focused,
Thursdays he goes to the driving
passion-driven.
range. Yeah. And he just
Love
is
it.
making it like
He's made the
really
space for
set.
things that are really important for him. And I bet you he's happier, he's healthier, his family is probably happier with
Yes.
him, and they remember what he looks like because we've
Yeah.
all been through challenging
And his
markets
team's
where
doing
it's
better.
and isn't that the almost unexpected bonus, right? And he's now modeling a life by design, a work life balance, counterbalance, so that his agents do not fall into the habits of letting all the tasks expand. If he's the one saying, "This is how we do it, leave at 6 o'clock," the agents following that leader are more likely to also say, you know, I'm really being intentional about the things that I do outside of my work time.
Right.
Yeah.
And the administrators, the staff, they are really happy because
Sure.
before they kind of felt awkward if they were going to leave on time, even if their work was done because he was still
Mm-hmm.
there, and it led to
Mm-hmm.
awkwardness. I've had direct conversations with them. They're so much happier and they're getting more done. Everyone's efficiency has improved.
It skyrockets. It really
Yeah.
does. And another point to the administrative staff is I have had the experience of clients feeling the need to have the support outside of normal business hours, and the staff is so committed to supporting the team that they end up pouring in after their hours, taking away from their off time outside of their work hours.
Right.
And it just, everything bleeds together. Time blocking and committing to having something to do that really is, it's fun stuff. It's stuff you really want to do.
Right.
It bleeds over into every
Everything
aspect of
it
the
does.
business. It really does. Your home life is better, your production is better, everything increases or is better as a result of choosing to not fall into the work more, work harder, grind, hustle mindset or culture that I think we've really found ourselves in the last few years.
So what are some of the steps if somebody wanted to take this on? do less for more. Where can they even start? Where would you recommend that someone might start, and how can they implement this approach in what they're doing?
Great question. The most simple plan to get clear on how to do less better. Number one, take an inventory of where your business is coming from. Identify all the sources and identify the top sources. And then look at the systems and the activities around those sources and really give yourself a critical review of how well are we executing on those activities within that system that drive those results. And if you're not executing at an 8, 9, or a 10, figure out what would make that activity an 8, 9, or a 10, and focus on that and improve that. And really, month to month, measure your results. Because there are no guarantees and things may change and things do change. And if we don't have our thumb on the results, some things could change without us really noticing. But in measuring your results every month to make sure that you're still getting or you're even improving on the result
Yes.
that you had been driving.
Yes.
So that's really where I would start. Set the calendar, set the schedule, share your intention with your key people, set alarms if you need to, time block your day. This is when I stop working. This is when I'm working on specific things, and fill in that space with things that really are going to bring you joy.
What would you prioritize first in the day? Like how would you arrange your day?
This is my favorite conversation. And it's funny because it's really, truly back to basics. And we get away from it so easily because we're great agents. And what makes us great agents is we desire to deliver a high level of service to all the people that we serve. So the first thing that I would say is we really have to look at what are the most important revenue driving activities in our business. And we've got to protect that fiercely.
Yes.
That's your lead generation,
Yes.
your prospecting, talking to the people in your database or in your farm, turning over stones to identify opportunities now and in the future, and then moving those opportunities as you found them closer to an appointment on your calendar. And you've got to protect those few activities like they're your job. Like that is the blood of your business.
Yes.
And if you allow people to step into that time frame and derail you from focusing on those things, you will feel the results of that in 90 days. You have to protect that time like it's your job. It is your job.
One of my clients in New Jersey who celebrating, she is in the top 50 agents in the whole state across
It's amazing.
brokerages. So Amber Cruz, she protects her lead generation time and she has a sign on the door. Well, the income producing time. Yeah. So it's everything you listed in the morning. Yes. She has a sign on her door that says, unless it involves fire, flood, guns, or blood, come see me at 11:30.
I love it.
And then she also, to give an extra layer of protection, she also has a water gun. And if somebody still does, that little, if you've got a window in the door, they're hovering by the window trying to look to see, she will, if they do that and she allows them to interrupt, she decides if it was worthwhile or not, and they are hit with the water gun if she decides it could have waited till 11:30. So the thing with that, make it fun and let everyone know and be very clear, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. And she's also very clear, so she uses a timer when she goes to take a break in the office and someone tries to talk to her. She's like, it's lead generation time. I can get back to you after 11:30. You can also sign up with my admin if you need me to call you later. And she gets the coffee, she's back in, and that's it. Yes.
And set that expectation with your clients as well. In the morning from 8:30 to 11:30, I am proactively looking for buyers for your home.
Yes.
or properties for you to buy, Mr.
Yes.
Buyer,
Yes.
client, right? Set that expectation and then have your automatic messages, your voicemails, all of your outgoing responses just saying, hey, this is my protected lead generation time. As I informed you when we got into business together, this is when I am proactively working on
Working.
getting your property under contract, looking for a buyer, looking for a property for you, Mr. Buyer client. And as long as they know that and they also understand when to expect to hear from you
Yes.
after that.
They're thrilled.
So it's a two-part. Set the expectation that you're not available and that you will get back to them at a time that is denoted in your calendar, and you must stick to that.
Right. So then what happens? Let's say someone gets this routine down and they are focusing on income producing activity and their true job of finding the new. So, Gary Keller at Keller Williams, he'll say, you always find the new before you take care and maintain the existing.
Mhm.
So what do you recommend after that protected, guarded morning time? What's next?
Yeah. The next thing after that, I'd say, is checking in with your administrative team. Things may have happened. There may be urgent emails that need attending to. There are no emergencies in real estate, let's be clear. Yet there may be things that are time sensitive for closings that are happening same day, next day, things like that. The admin's task should be to prioritize what does that agent need to address when they are done in that revenue producing activity time. After they are informed of that, they can either take the time right then to address those things or have the admin reach out and give instruction as to when the agent will connect with that client. And then they should go to lunch. If you
What?
do not, I know, right? This is the most shocking thing to me. If you do not have breaks built into what? I know, lunch? Who ever heard of that, right? Lunch, meet a lender, grab an agent, partner, friend, counterpart, another brokerage, somebody down this. Get out of the office.
Yes.
Go outside, change the air in your head, get a little sun on your face, just to have a little change of scenery, get something to eat. Because how many times have you heard agents say, oh, I'm going to jam a protein bar down my throat while I'm
Right.
sucking down a giant coffee,
Yeah.
while I'm running from here to there? That's not what we're talking about, managing our time. And that sounds like mismanagement of time. And it doesn't sound like you're taking very good care of yourself.
Right.
So go to lunch. And then after lunch is the time to move your deals in motion forward. You've got a time block of a couple of hours after you're done with lunch where you're moving those deals forward. You're touching base with your sellers. You're touching base with your deals under contract clients. You're talking to attorneys, title, anything you need to do to move your deal closer to the finish line should happen in that post lunch couple of hours. And then you should have a couple of appointments scheduled, knowing how many appointments held you must have every week. Only so many days you're likely going to have appointments scheduled.
Right.
Follow your calendar. Go home. Go cook dinner for your wife. Go to
Yeah. Right.
go to pickleball.
Yes.
Go watch your kid play soccer or something. Yeah.
And we all know, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what I find is people who resist time blocking or following a schedule, when I boil down what's really happening there, the truth is they're not convinced there's a time to address that issue in their calendar already. So they really need to understand, when we talk about managing your schedule and setting up your time blocks, using alarms to help create that habit, that we're clear on, in that time block, what are the things that you
That
should
you're
be
doing.
doing here. Because if there's something that comes up in the early months with new clients, they'll say, Coach, I have to do this thing and I'm not sure where it should go in my time block. And if
Right.
you find things, then we will create a space for it and say, okay. And if it gets to be there's so many things in a time block that you can't handle, now we're going to have a leverage conversation.
Right. And speaking of leverage, I mean, I feel as if there's for most salespeople, there's a lot of room for adding some systems, some frequency using AI, using technology for
Hmm.
reminders, prompts, and alerts, and having a staff person. So, do you have any advice in terms of adding more systematic elements to your entire sales process and your entire client experience?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
We
how could
all
someone do that?
we all know that there are key points in our processes. There are things that are going to happen over and over and over again. And we should prepare for that. Make your own life easier. You know that post inspection, you're going to need an email that goes out to the, co-broke agent that says, hey, little feedback on that inspection. How'd things go? Looking for some feedback, information, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Craft an email that says something a lot better than that.
Right.
If you're going to do something more than once, create a system
Make
around
it
it.
really, yeah,
Save yourself the thinking of having to come up with something in the moment. Phil Jones says, we're going to have these moments and these really important conversations. And the worst time to think about what you're going to say is when you need to say it. And that is
exactly.
so true. It's
It is.
so true. So I would say, look at your processes, identify things you do routinely, rotely. This is the thing that happens next. Create those. And if you have to have conversations, or if you're leverage, your admin, your assistant, needs to have a conversation, instead of looking to you to say, well, what should it say? Leverage ChatGPT. Leverage ChatGPT. Explain the context of the conversation and make sure that you agree and make that part of your system.
Right. And then that will free up so much time in and of itself.
And brain space. And
Absolutely.
brain space,
Right.
right? Gary Keller, talks about decision fatigue. And it's a real thing. The less you have to think about the things you do over and over and over again, the more space you have in your intellect, in your brain capacity to make bigger decisions that will drive more of your business forward faster.
Right. Well, I think it's really is especially today particularly exciting because there are so many things at our disposal that are easy to
Mhm.
use and that are either free or inexpensive, where you can really increase your efficiency in everything you do.
Absolutely. And it's just a matter of embracing and leveraging those, taking the time, creating a spot on the calendar to say, how do we create that system, or how do we leverage that technology to make our lives easier? You invest in that on your calendar once or twice, and you don't have to do that again.
Right. What else would you encourage someone to do if they really want to embrace do less better? What would you recommend to someone who's starting out on this and they really want to be successful?
Yeah, I would say really accept that you're going to have to let go of some things and really create the future vision of what your business and your life is going to look like, or what you want it to look like. What is impactful for you? What is going to drive you to say, no, I'm really excited to do X, so I'm not going to let the business take over, because this business will take everything you allow it to from you.
Yeah. And not just real estate, any sales industry.
Any
It just
sales,
seeps
any
in and
sales.
just takes
Yes,
takes
it does.
over. So
For sure.
and I apologize because what you just said made me think of another question. You mentioned that this was something they wanted to do and they would, they like doing and they're going to do it. What if part of the issue is the person resists doing it and they've convinced themselves they don't like it. So part of the chaos of long days is really an elaborate manifestation of
It's
avoiding
creative
lead generation.
avoidance.
Yes.
That is
So what do you say to
creative
them?
avoidance. Well, in the creative avoidance of creating the chaos, I really I go back to your life by design. How do you want your life to look? Is the decision you're making in the moment? Because life is all about a series of decisions, and where you end up or where you are is a result. Cody Gibson, one of my mentors and my former boss, love him, would say, hey, you first make your decisions and then your decisions make you. How is what you're choosing aligning with what you say you want? And if they're not producing what they'd like to, we really have to interrogate what is it about the lead generation or what you're creatively avoiding that has you avoiding it. And it may be a fear of the telephone and I don't want to call people. Okay, great. There are a lot of other ways to do the job that don't involve the telephone. We've seen this with agents on stage really winning at building a business, doing a lot of other things other than cold calling. And when I meet with new clients, I will routinely hear, I don't cold call. I don't call. I don't do that. And I say, oh, okay, what do you do? And they just don't know what to say in that moment.
That's
They're
right.
like,
Yeah.
you're not going to make me call someone?
Right.
No, I'm not going to make you do anything. I'm here to help you get what it is you want. And how badly do you want it? And what are you willing to do to have it? Because if you're not willing to do what it takes to have and be and achieve what you say you want to, we're really going to have to examine that.
It's really, I love the way that you answer that. I have a similar fashion. So they'll say, I don't cold call. And I say, well, thank goodness I don't have to have the conversation to try to get you to stop because I don't
Right.
recommend it. Now let's go on. So we have slightly different approaches, but I think it brings about the same response. Most people are like, what?
What?
Yeah. Don't you want to build a system that's duplicatable, scalable, and infused with at least 65% relationship based and 35% new? And they just don't even know.
They
Yeah.
don't. They don't.
It's so funny.
They're so in their head about it. And I think it's because I'm old school real estate. I've been doing this for 30 years. And when we say make your calls, what we really mean is go find some opportunity.
Correct.
I
Yes.
don't care if you use the telephone to do
That's
that or
right.
not. It's just go find some opportunity. It's lead generation. It's not phone calls specifically. It's
Yes.
whatever works for you in your life with your personality, as long as it's generating the leads that you need to hit your goals.
Well, I think this is really a path to increasing your business and improving your life. And the do less
Absolutely.
better is just such a great, um, why don't we both add in a few things that we think would really help someone nail this? One, and I'm going to go first. So, one that I would mention is it is critical, and this would be in nearly all sales positions. I'm sure there's a few exceptions. Put in the comments if there's an exception. But in most sales positions, you really need three performing lead
Levers.
sources.
Sure.
So, as you're doing this and as you're doing it can't be one. What's the
No.
cliche? We're not going to put all the eggs in one basket, right? The basket
Mm-hmm.
gives out and there's nothing to eat. And two, not quite stable. You want to think that you need at least a three-legged stool to support your business and your business growth. So I just was going to share that as another item to consider as you're doing less. You
Mm-hmm.
still need to have three actively worked producing lead sources. I volley to
And that
you. I hit
and that
the ball
doesn't
to you.
all right, now I'm going to toss it back to you pretty quickly because that doesn't mean we shouldn't be looking at opportunities for the future, but we're not going to we're not going to pull the plug on something that's generating a great result to focus our attention on something that we're not sure of, with the possibility that it's going to be better than what we've got. This is becomes a interrogate and measure and affirm that what you're doing is still generating the same result. And when you start seeing that it is not, then it is time to say, okay, what else can we add to the mix? We're going to keep doing that because this may be a blip, but we're going to start to look at what else could we pull in? What have we identified as potential fourth runners up to the
Yes,
three legs of the stool, as you mentioned? What are we going to pull in as maybe the support to one of those legs? That, because things do change and we
agreed.
cannot expect the results are never going to change because things are moving so quickly with technology and people are becoming more savvy. Things are not always going to give the same result. And we've got to stay on top of that, measure those results, hold them accountable to the time and the money investment, and have some ideas of, here are the three things we might do if in fact we start to see the three things we have counted on that have gotten us where we are.
They underperform.
What got you here won't get you there. And yes, if they start to underperform, we need to pay attention to that and not wait until we're behind the eight ball with
Correct.
the results.
Right. And the thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because I recommend that you have at least 2 in development or 2 that are in the bullpen, right? But the issue that we run into, and I know as soon as I say this, you're going to say yes, salespeople have a tendency to spend more time on the new because it's fun and it's novel. Plus, they haven't developed efficiencies or scalability. So they will spend hours in an unproven new lead source, and they take time away from what is currently producing. And that's where, in our chosen industry of real estate, that's where I think we see agents on that income roller coaster of, 3 closings one month, one the next, 0 for 2, then another. There's not the consistency of closings every month. Now, so I mean, so the time is the issue. And what I tell my clients is 80% of your finding the new or finding the opportunity time is in the existing sources. And then 20% is in the 2 that are in development. And the 2 in development, in my opinion, should always be time blocked after lunch, twice a week. So maybe it's an hour and a half, twice a week. You look into the new and you develop and you research and and you figure it out. But most salespeople that are not working with a coach, they spend way too much time in the novelty and the new and what could we do with this, and it's a business killer.
It's the same behavior as agents who, to your point, they've got that income roller coaster because they get a couple of properties under contract and then they're completely consumed with getting them closed. And then they have no deals because they completely abandoned. So the 80-20 rule is so important. The time blocking is so important because, to your point, otherwise you can get very carried away. And in the absence of a deadline, that task will expand to fit the time allowed.
Yes, it will. Well, this has been just really a great conversation. And if anyone is considering do less better, really take it on. I want to add in one additional technique that I think is critical, and that is working it into your morning mindset routine and making it part of your affirmations and part of your visualization.
Yeah, I love
It's
that. Yeah.
possibly even if you have an emergency, in case of emergency, break glass here. If you have a mindset routine that you do in the case of emergency, I would incorporate at least one of your 3 power statements to include, I do less better. I take action. My next action step is blank, right? So add it in so that your mindset changes and you start to claim and see yourself as incredibly efficient, moving through the day with ease and elegance, knowing what you're doing all the time and working with more purpose and intentionality.
Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely. Mindset is at the core of everything we do. The things we believe and think about most are going to guide and determine our actions.
Right.
So that's a great point.
Well, Christa Matheson, amazing coach, both business and real estate and leadership.
Well, thank you.
And a owner and chief executive officer in some other businesses, including one with AI technology. So you just are a wealth of information. If people want to reach out to you, of course, I'm going to have all your information in the description. What is your favorite method for someone to reach out to you?
Text is best for me. Text is best.
Excellent. All right. So thank you so much. I hope all of you will join us again on the next episode of The Inner Estate. Get out there and do less better.